There was a man called Teacher Chang, and he could have been the first president of Korea. He was handsome, good-looking, and intelligent. But because he was assassinated, Lee Seung-man became the first president. But An Chang-ho's wife was not able to look at her husband face to face all her life because she was so ugly and he was so good-looking. So she couldn't look at him in the face, but he would always carry around and say, "Oh, but I love you the most." Can all of you look at Jesus face to face? Can you see him straight in the face? No, you can't. And yet Jesus says, "Oh, but I love you the most," and he takes us around under his arms. Let me ask you a question. Are we qualified to sit on that throne, the throne of heaven, the highest throne of the universe, which Lucifer, Satan, wanted to sit on? Can we sit on that throne? We can't even think of sitting on the throne. We can't even look at it. We didn't dream about it, but our husband Jesus says that he loves us and he sits us on the throne. That's why we can sit on the throne of heaven. Did we do a lot of work for him? Did we donate a lot of money? Are we good looking? With no merit, without doing anything, because of our husband, we're able to sit on the throne of heaven. Please do not leave this throne. If you just don't leave your husband, that's all that matters. So the wife receives the same glory and the same treatment as her husband, regardless of whether she has an educational background or if she's good looking. But there's one thing that the husband requests, and that is her chastity. When a husband and wife live together, once she loses her chastity, then she'll be divorced. There's one thing that our husband requests of us. He said to keep our chastity. You cannot serve two masters. You can't serve two husbands. Just choose me. Will you keep your chastity to him? And the wife also goes through the tribulation with her husband. When he is in trouble and he is hungry and poor, she also goes hungry and poor with him. When he works, she also works together. And if her husband is hit and mocked, she also is mocked and receives the same contempt and shame. So a wife is one who goes through the tribulation with her husband, not someone who runs away during the tribulation like Judas or Peter. You see like John and come close to Jesus and even marry the prostitute. So the wife is part of the husband's tribulation. The wife of a thief receives a treatment as a thief, but the president wife receives the same treatment as a president. And even if the wife is uneducated, but her husband is, then she is treated as an educated person. And even when the wife of the president dies, she receives the treatment, the funeral of a president. So when the husband works, the wife is supposed to work with him. And when he's hungry, she's hungry with him. When he is poor, she is also poor with him. We have to be that kind of a wife. And he takes that kind of wife and sits her on the glorious throne of heaven. But what about the church in the world? They don't want to be part of the cross with Jesus. They only want his glory. Then which husband will take them? I hope that you'll go through the sufferings together with your husband Jesus. If our husband Jesus was assassinated as a traitor to the country, then we should also receive the same treatment. So when I think of this word husband, I feel like dancing. Our husband is Jesus, the King of the universe. And since he's sitting on the throne, then all you do is just go, sit next to him without doing anything. So salvation and glory is a gift that we are given. So why do we have such a good husband? Because we met such a wonderful, real father. Even the president's daughter may be ugly, but their wonderful young men who want to marry her because her father's the president. So let's read verses 6 to 8. For the Lord has called you like a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, like a youthful wife when you are refused, says your God. For a mere moment I have forsaken you, but with great mercies I will gather you. With little wrath I hid my face from you for a moment, but with everlasting kindness I will have mercy on you, says the Lord, your Redeemer. For the Lord has called you like a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, like a youthful wife when you are refused, says your God. He's telling us, don't leave your husband. We are like prostitutes. As I read the book of Hosea, I thought about my father's heart and I really cried. Why? Here there are many parents who have children. If your loving sons walked around the streets and went to the prostitutes, what would you do? Would you not scold him and tell him, why are you doing that? But there was no other beautiful son than Hosea. He was always obedient to our daddy. But who did our daddy have him marry? He had to marry a prostitute. Even at that, a very awful prostitute. There are some prostitutes that once they get married, they don't become a prostitute anymore. But this wife of Hosea was incurable. Even though she married Hosea and Hosea said that I only love you, so only love me, she would go back to the street and go back to her life as a prostitute. Then Hosea would go and buy his wife back and bring her back home. Hosea would pay and bring his wife back home. Then she would go back again. So he would go and buy her back again. Hosea lived his whole life in pain. Then why did our father allow Hosea to marry such a wicked prostitute? And you can imagine how our daddy felt and how hurt inside, how much he cried. But why? Because our daddy wants to teach all of you a lesson. He wants to teach these prostitutes a lesson that we must keep chastity to our husband. We were like prostitutes. We change husbands all the time. We went to this church, we went to that denomination, we went to this prayer place and that Bible place. We give our love, we give our loyalty to this church, that church. We change our husband so many times. We were like prostitutes. We were like Hosea's wife. And so, whenever Hosea cried, our daddy cried as well. It was a lesson to us. Please, don't be like Hosea's wife, Gomer. But since you have married the Lord of hosts, then don't be like Gomer, but keep your chastity to your husband. Because if we just keep our chastity to him, then he will protect us and love us forever. We may be so ugly. Why can't we keep our chastity? So, if you're ugly and you still can't keep your chastity, then what kind of woman is that? So if you're ugly, just have the beauty of chastity. We have that beauty, but there are still some who go back and become prostitute again. Verses 9 and 10. But this is like the waters of Noah to me. For as I have sworn that the waters of Noah would no longer cover the earth, so have I sworn that I will not be angry with you, nor rebuke you. For the mountains shall depart and the hills be removed, but my kindness shall not depart from you, nor shall my covenant of peace be removed, says the Lord, who has mercy on you. Yes, this is also very important. This is like the waters of Noah to me. What does this mean? In the times of Noah, people did not die early, and they lived hundreds and hundreds of years of life, and they continued to have children. So although the history was short, they had a lot of children. And even some people say that there's the same amount of people in the time of Noah as they are now. Our daddy loved all those children, but he had to bury all of them in water. And he was only able to save 8 of his children. And this really tore our father's heart apart. There was only 8 children. And it really hurt inside. And he said, no matter what you do in the future, no matter what husband you follow later, I will never destroy you with water. I love you that much. And he swore to his people that he would not destroy his people anymore with water. That's why he said, this is like the waters of Noah to me. If you only keep your chastity to me, I will never destroy you like I did in the days of Noah. I will protect you forever, keep you as my wife forever. Even if the mountains shall depart, even if the hills be removed, my kindness, my love for you will never be removed. So he made a vow to us that he would never kill us again as long as we keep our chastity to him. So he only asks us to keep our chastity to him, then he will live with us forever. How can the mountains go away? How can the mountains depart and the hills be removed? In other words, he promised and for the whole universe. Then, in the story of Jesus of the prodigal son, did you ever hear of the prodigal son ever leaving the father again? He always stayed with the father and lived with him from then on. So, since we've turned to our daddy and to our true husband, let's keep our chastity. Let's not be like Hosea's wife Gomer and leave. We may be ugly, but let's at least have the beauty of chastity. And he promised to us that he would never forsake us. Please just keep your chastity. If a woman does not have chastity, no matter how good looking she is, no matter how well educated she may be, she's no good. She's not even human. But even if one is ugly and uneducated, if they can just keep their chastity, then they are the most beautiful and most noble. So all throughout history, God's children were not killed because God killed them, but they themselves left our father and left the true husband, so they died. How can God kill his own children like that? How about in the time of Moses? They wanted to go back to Egypt, so they all died. In the time of Jesus, they followed. They went back to the Jerusalem church, and they all died. Same with Jesus. In these last days, that's why Jesus had to marry someone else, because they all left him for the false churches. In these last days, our husband does not ask of anything else from us. Perfection of character, talents, building churches, missionary work, nothing. He only wants our chastity. If we just keep our chastity to him, then he will take us to heaven. So even if we can't do any work for him, if we just keep our chastity to him, he will keep his promise to us, and he will take us to heaven. So no matter how terrible we may be, no matter how much we stumble and fall, as long as we remain in the arms of the husband, it's okay. Now these people say, oh, I have not changed yet, I'm imperfect, I'm no good. And they go, but leaving is sin. Those who follow, regardless, our daddy will be responsible and take them to heaven. Verse 16, O you afflicted one, tossed with tempest and comforted, behold, I will lay your stones with colorful gems, and lay your foundation with sapphires. I will make your pinnacles with rubies, your gates of crystal, and all your walls of precious stones. All your children shall be taught by the Lord, and great shall be the peace of your children. O you afflicted one, tossed with tempest and comforted. What does this mean? Because we followed other husbands, our heart was always empty, and our hearts were tossed with tempest. The tempest of heresy, the tempest of error. We were always shaken by heresy and error, and our heart was empty, and we had no peace or joy. Who is this speaking of? All of you. We went to this church, this prayer place, that prayer place, or any meeting, but we were afflicted only with the tempest, the winds of heresy and error. But we received nothing, and our heart was still empty, and we just wandered. But when we return to our true husband, when we return to our daddy, he says, behold, I will lay your stones with colorful gems, and lay your foundation with sapphires. I will make your pinnacles of rubies, your gates of crystal, and all your walls of precious stones. I will adorn you with all kinds of jewels. What does this mean? I told you that we were like who? Like Gomer. Prostitutes. Isn't that so? Isn't that so? You think you're so clean, you don't even answer. We are awful prostitutes. We went to this man, we went to that man, this husband, that husband. And all these men, all they did was just use us and throw us away. They just use us because they paid money for us. Yet they never buy us anything, no clothes or shoes, and they just use us and throw us away and go. Isn't this so? They see that they are a shepherd and they try and take our money from us and use us. And they do not even give us one robe of our character or shoes of the gospel. And all they did was use us for money. Isn't that so? All of you are taken possession by the pimps of the world. When we return to our true husband, he doesn't ask us of anything. All he does is say, oh, you sure went through a lot of hardships. You must be sick, you must be hurt. And he has pity on us and cures us of all our physical and spiritual diseases. And he clothes with all kinds of jewels, sapphires, crystal, rubies. What does he give us? Jewels, sapphires, crystal, rubies. He gives rings, necklaces, earrings. He adorns our characters with all those jewels. And he says, oh, how beautiful you are. You are truly righteous. You are truly beautiful. When we're dragged around by those false husbands, all they did was just take our money from us, and no matter how much we tell them we were in pain, that we were sick, they didn't do anything for us. We were just empty-hearted, and the hearts were just afflicted, tossed with tempest. But once we returned to him, all he did was love us and care us. You must be hurt, you must be sick, and he used to heal us, cure us, and then clothe us. He adorns with only precious jewels of heaven, sapphires, rubies, crystal, and he says, you are so beautiful. What are these sapphires, rubies, and crystals? Do not commit sin even in your thought. Isn't it a truth like sapphire? Be afoot, be watered, receive the 5 blessings of the Sabbath. Are those truths like precious jewels? Yes, all those truths are precious jewels. And with these precious jewels of truth, our husband adorns us and says, you are beautiful, you are righteous. All we have to do is take it, wear it, and be righteous. But the churches in the world, they gave us nothing. They gave us not even a single jewel. Instead, they only used us and took money from us. Now do you know who you were captured by? You were captured by those pastors, the pimps of those churches. And when we came out of those churches, they grabbed our hair. You know, when you came here, the pastors pulled your hair and you lost your hair. And if you went through all that to come here, and you were beaten, and you made it out there, why do you go back? When your husband treats you so well, clothes you with the character, adorns you with precious jewels, then you should follow him and go to heaven. Why do you go back? Our daddy had his son marry her on purpose in order to save us. Nowadays, so many people come here and the husband feeds and clothes them, but then they go back. They leave here and they go back. They take off their precious jewels and their robes and they go back to live a life of a prostitute. You've seen that, haven't you? Don't become like that, please. Let's look at verse 14. In righteousness you shall be established. You shall be far from oppression, for you shall not fear, and from terror, for it shall not come near you. Have you become righteous for no price? This is true righteousness by faith. And all the jewels that are given to you means that that's how you live. That's your life. Without any money, he clothes you, adorns you, and says that you are most beautiful and makes you queen. Then we should know how to keep that place as a queen. Why do we leave that wonderful position as a king and we go back to a life of prostitute to be beaten and used? So take the garments of truth and keep your jewels. Then you'll be far from oppression and from fear and from terror. Then, as the queen of the universe, who will dare touch you? Verse 15. Indeed, they shall surely assemble, but not because of me. Whoever assembles against you shall fall for your sake. They will surely assemble, but not because of me. They may plan to take you. So though they assemble to try and take you, they can't do it unless they have permission for a husband. If they do, they will all be destroyed. Verse 16. Behold, I have created the blacksmith who blows the coals in the fire, who brings forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the spoiler to destroy. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is from me, says the Lord. They may assemble without my permission. Whoever assembles against you shall fall for your sake. For I have created the blacksmith who blows the coals in the fire, who brings the instrument for his work. And I have created the spoil destroyer. So, all those in the world, all the weapons against you shall fail, and every tongue which rises against you, you shall condemn. You know, when all those pimps of the church say, oh, they left the church, and the whole world arises against you, yet they cannot touch you without our husband's permission. Instead, they will be destroyed. As we become wives of the King of the universe, who can dare condemn us? Who can dare accuse us? As wives of the Lord of hosts, what judge, what court will dare condemn us or accuse us? They are all under us. They are not above us. That's why we are above the law of the universe. Because you married the maker of the law cannot touch you. So there's no one who can accuse you. Look at the wife of a certain president. Can anyone just accuse her and take her to court? Because if they did, they'll be in big trouble. So you be rest assured and be happy. You have been completely free, and this is the peace in our heart. Though we were so ugly and had no blessings, all of a sudden, we became the queen, the wife of the Lord of hosts, because we met our real daddy. And when we turned to our husband, though we were abused and used and trampled upon by the church of the world, when we returned to our true husband, we were comforted, healed, and clothed in robes of jewels. And though we didn't ask for it, He did everything for us, and He makes us righteous. And He clothes us in royal robes. He clothes our character with all the truths as precious as jewels. And He says, you are righteous, you are beautiful. Have you all become righteous? You've all become completely righteous. But there's one thing we have to do for Him, for our husband, and He only asks for our chastity. If we keep our chastity to Him, then even though the mountains shall depart, the hills go away, He will never forsake us, but He will make us His eternal wives for eternity and have us live with Him. I hope we will become those kind of happy wives of Jesus.